After a year in Afghanistan, I came home to find my wife's tears weren't from joy, they were from fear. The man who'd been helping our family while I was gone wanted more than money. He wanted everything I'd fought to protect. This is how I learned that sometimes the real war begins when you come home. Before we begin, let me know where you're tuning in from down in the comments. And if you enjoy this story, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss our next tale. Chapter 1. The wheels hit the tarmac at Sacramento International, and for the first time in 12 months, I could breathe American air. Dawn was breaking over the California capital, painting the sky in shades of amber and rose that reminded me why I'd fought so hard to come home. My duffel bag weighed heavy on my shoulder, but not as heavy as the weight that had lifted from my chest the moment our plane crossed into U.S. airspace. A year in Afghanistan changes you. Every sense stays sharp, every shadow could hide danger, every unexpected sound makes your hand twitch toward a weapon that isn't there anymore. But standing in that airport, watching families reunite and businessmen rush past with their coffee cups, I forced myself to remember. I was home. The war was behind me. My real life was about to begin again. "Daddy! Daddy!" That voice cut through everything, the fatigue, the hypervigilance, the lingering smell of desert dust that seemed permanently embedded in my sinuses. My daughter Zara came running through the crowd, her dark braids bouncing, her face lit up like Christmas morning. 6 years old, and already she'd grown so much since the grainy video calls. Behind her, Trinity moved with that grace I'd fallen in love with 8 years ago, her honey-brown skin glowing in the morning light filtering through the terminal windows. I dropped to one knee just in time to catch Zara as she launched herself into my arms. She smelled like strawberry shampoo and home, and when she wrapped her small arms around my neck, something inside me that had been clenched tight for months finally relaxed. "I missed you so much, baby girl," I whispered into her hair, my voice catching on emotions I'd kept locked down for too long. "You're squishing me, Daddy," she giggled, but she didn't let go. When I looked up, Trinity was there, and for a moment, just a moment, everything was perfect. Her smile reached her eyes, those deep brown eyes that had kept me going through endless nights on patrol. She wore the yellow sundress I'd bought her 2 years ago, the one that made her look like sunshine itself. "Welcome home, soldier," she said, and there was something in her voice I couldn't quite place. Relief? Love? Something else? I stood, keeping Zara on my hip, and pulled Trinity close with my free arm. She melted into me, her familiar curves fitting against my body like she belonged there. Her lips found mine, soft and warm, tasting faintly of that cherry lip gloss she always wore. But when we pulled apart, I caught it again, that flicker in her eyes, like a shadow passing over the sun. "Everything okay?" I asked, keeping my voice light. Zara was right there, playing with my dog tags. "Everything's perfect now that you're home," Trinity said, but her hand trembled slightly as she tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. "Come on, let's get out of here. I made your favorite pot roast's been in the slow cooker since last night." The drive home took us through downtown Sacramento, past the Tower Bridge painted gold in the morning light, through tree-lined streets I'd dreamed about in my tent. Zara chattered nonstop from her booster seat, telling me about her kindergarten teacher, Mrs. Rodriguez, about the tooth she'd lost last month, about the neighbor's new puppy. Trinity drove, occasionally glancing at me with that same uncertain smile. Our house sat on a quiet street in Oak Park, a modest 2-story with a wraparound porch I'd built myself the summer before deployment. The lawn needed cutting mental note to handle that tomorrow, but Trinity had kept her garden blooming. Roses climbed the trellis, and the jasmine I'd planted for our anniversary perfumed the air. "Home, sweet home," I said, but the words felt strange in my mouth, like trying on a shirt that used to fit but now pulled tight across the shoulders. Inside, everything looked the same but different. The family photos still lined the hallway our wedding day, Zara's first birthday, that camping trip to Lake Tahoe. But there were new things, too. A stack of bills on the kitchen counter, thick enough to make my stomach tighten. A men's jacket I didn't recognize hanging on the coat rack. Trinity quickly grabbed it, mumbling something about it being her brother Marcus's. "Since when does Marcus wear leather?" I asked, trying to keep it casual. "Oh, you know Marcus. always trying new looks. She shoved the jacket in the hall closet, not meeting my eyes. The pot roast smelled like heaven, filling the house with the aroma of beef and rosemary. We sat around our small dining table, Zara insisting on sitting in my lap even though it made eating nearly impossible. Trinity had set the table with our good plates, the ones we'd gotten as wedding presents. She'd even lit candles. "This is nice, baby," I said, catching her hand across the table. "Really nice." She squeezed back, but her smile wavered. "I wanted everything to be perfect for you." "It is perfect." But even as I said it, my trained eyes were cataloging details. The new flat-screen TV that we definitely couldn't afford on her teacher's aide salary. The designer purse hanging on the chair. Since when did Trinity care about labels? The way she kept checking her phone, flipping it face down every time it buzzed. After dinner, while Trinity cleaned up and dodged my offers to help, I carried Zara upstairs for her bath. She splashed and played with her rubber ducks while I sat on the closed toilet lid, just watching her be a kid. This was what I'd fought for. This was what mattered. "Daddy, who's Mr. Cipher?" she asked suddenly, making bubble beards on her ducks. My hand stilled on the towel I was holding. "Who's Mr. Cipher, baby?" "Mommy's friend. He comes over sometimes. He has a cool car that goes vroom vroom really loud." "Oh yeah? What kind of car?" She shrugged, already losing interest. "I don't know. It's black. He brings Mommy presents sometimes, but she tells me they're secrets." The cold feeling that had been creeping up my spine since the airport solidified into ice. I kept my voice steady, gentle. "What kind of secrets, sweetheart?" "I don't know. Grown-up stuff. Can I have bubbles in my hair?" I helped her make a bubble mohawk, my mind racing while my hands stayed steady. This was what a year of combat did to you. You could function on autopilot while your brain processed threats. And make no mistake, this Cipher, whoever he was, felt like a threat. After tucking Zara into her princess bed and reading her 2 stories about brave knights and clever princesses, I found Trinity on our bed, already changed into her nightgown. She was scrolling through her phone, that little worry line between her eyebrows that appeared when she was stressed. "Who's Cipher?" I asked, sitting on the edge of the bed. The phone slipped from her fingers, clattering onto the nightstand. "What? Who told you?" She caught herself, forced a laugh. "Oh, you mean Carl Cipher. He's just someone from the neighborhood, helped out with some repairs while you were gone. You know I'm useless with a hammer. Zara says he brings you presents." Trinity's face flushed. "Neo, please. You just got home. Can we not do this?" "Do what? I'm just asking about someone who's been coming to my house, spending time with my family." She stood abruptly, wrapping her arms around herself. "Your house? Your family? We've been your family all along, Neo. Even when you were thousands of miles away for a year, we kept going. We survived." "I know that, baby. I'm not accusing, aren't you?" She turned to face me, and there were tears in her eyes. "You've been home 6 hours, and you're already interrogating me about every little thing. The bills, the TV, now this. Can't you just be happy to be home?" I stood, reached for her, but she stepped back. "Trinity, talk to me. What's going on?" "Nothing's going on. Everything's fine." But her voice cracked on fine, and she quickly looked away. "I'm tired, Neo. It's been a long day. Can we just sleep? Please?" I wanted to push, every instinct screaming that something was wrong. But I could see the exhaustion in her shoulders, the way she was barely holding it together. And maybe she was right. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe a year of looking for threats had broken something in me that made me see danger where there was none. "Okay," I said softly. "Come here." She came into my arms then, burying her face in my chest. I could feel her tears soaking through my shirt. "I missed you so much," she whispered. "You have no idea how hard it's been." "I'm here now," I promised, stroking her hair. "Whatever it is, we'll figure it out together." Later, as Trinity slept beside me, her breath evening out into the rhythm I'd missed for so many lonely nights, I stared at the ceiling in the dark. The house made its familiar settling sounds, the tick of the radiator, the hum of the refrigerator downstairs, but there were new sounds too. A car driving slowly past, bass thumping, Trinity's phone buzzing with a text at 2 a.m. that she didn't wake up for. I slipped out of bed, careful not to wake her, and padded downstairs. The kitchen was clean, dishes done, everything in its place. But that stack of bills drew me like a magnet. I flipped through them in the moonlight streaming through the window. Final notices. Past due. Collections. How? Trinity had access to my combat pay. It should have been more than enough. On the counter, partially hidden under a dish towel, was a small notepad. Trinity's handwriting, usually so neat from years of writing on classroom boards, was hurried, almost frantic. Cipher Friday, 8 p.m., $2,000. No more excuses. I set the notepad back exactly as I'd found it, my heart pounding with the familiar rhythm of danger approaching. In Afghanistan, we had a saying, "The enemy you see isn't the one that kills you." The real threats were the ones hiding in plain sight, the IEDs buried in the road you traveled every day. Standing in my kitchen, in my home, surrounded by pictures of my family's smiling faces, I realized I'd come home to a different kind of war. And this time, I didn't know who the enemy was. I climbed back into bed, pulled Trinity close. She murmured in her sleep, pressing back against me. I breathed in the scent of her hair, coconut oil, and something uniquely her, and made a silent promise. Whatever was threatening my family, whoever this cipher was, I would find out. I would protect them. I'd survived a year in hell, and I'd be damned if I was going to lose the very things I'd been fighting for now that I was home. The last thing I remember thinking before sleep finally took me was, I'll protect my family, no matter what the truth may be. Chapter 2. The smell of coffee pulled me from dreams of dust and gunfire. For a moment, I didn't know where I was, that disorientation that comes with waking up in a bed that's too soft after months on a cot. Then I heard Zara's laughter from downstairs, and everything clicked back into place. Home. Safe. Except safe was starting to feel like a relative term. Trinity had let me sleep in. The bedside clock showed 9:47 a.m., latest I'd slept in over a year. My body still ran on military time, usually up before dawn, but jet lag and emotional exhaustion had finally caught up. I pulled on jeans and the old Raiders shirt Trinity loved, then headed downstairs. They were in the kitchen, Zara perched on her booster seat eating scrambled eggs while Trinity packed a lunchbox. Both in their Sunday best, Trinity in a floral dress that hugged her curves just right. Zara in a pink dress with ruffles she kept smoothing down proudly. "Morning, soldier," Trinity said, not quite meeting my eyes as she poured me coffee. "We're heading to church. Didn't want to wake you." "Since when do you go to church?" I asked, accepting the mug gratefully. The coffee was perfect. She remembered exactly how I liked it. "Started a few months ago. Zara loves Sunday school, don't you, baby?" "They have cookies," Zara announced. "And Mrs. Johnson tells us stories about angels. Daddy, did you see any angels in Afghanistan?" "Different kind of angels, sweetheart." I ruffled her hair, but my eyes stayed on Trinity. "I'll come with you." "You don't have to. I want to." I set down the mug with a little more force than necessary. Been away from my girls long enough. Something flashed across Trinity's face. Panic? Guilt? But she recovered quickly. Of course, that would be nice. 20 minutes later, we were walking into New Hope Baptist, a small church about 10 minutes from our house. The congregation was already singing when we slipped into a pew near the back. Several people turned to look, recognition dawning on their faces when they saw me. "Neo, brother, welcome home!" Marcus Williams, who ran the barber shop on Franklin, reached over 2 pews to shake my hand. Others followed suit, a wave of welcomes and God bless yous that felt genuine but also overwhelming. Then I saw him. Sitting 3 rows up, designer suit that probably cost more than I made in a month, gold watch catching the light from the stained glass windows. White guy, which wasn't unusual in our mixed congregation, but something about him screamed wrong. Maybe it was the way his eyes tracked Trinity when she walked past to take Zara to Sunday school. Maybe it was the barely there nod he gave her, or the way her step faltered for just a second. "Who's that?" I asked Mrs. Chen, the elderly woman sitting next to me. She glanced over, then lowered her voice. "Oh, that's Mr. Cipher. Been coming here about 6 months now." Very generous with the collection plate. She leaned closer, conspiratorial. Between you and me, I don't trust him. Something about the eyes. Yeah, something about the eyes. The service felt endless. Pastor Robinson preached about redemption and forgiveness, about the prodigal son returning home, and every word felt like it was aimed at me. Or maybe at Trinity, who sat rigid beside me, her hands clasped so tight her knuckles were white. When the collection plate came around, Cypher made a show of dropping in a thick envelope. The usher's eyes widened, and I heard him murmur, "Bless you, brother." Cypher's gaze swept back, locked on mine for a heartbeat. His smile was all teeth, no warmth. Predator recognizing predator. After service, I tried to approach him, but he was already gone, slipping out the side door like smoke. Trinity appeared at my elbow, Zara's hand in hers. "Ready to go?" Her voice was too bright, too forced. "In a minute. Going to say hi to Pastor Robinson. Neo, we should—" But I was already walking away, leaving her to make small talk with the church ladies who were cooing over Zara's dress. Pastor Robinson was in his office, door open, counting the collection money. He looked up when I knocked, his face breaking into a genuine smile. "Neo Morrison, heard you were back. How you holding up, son?" "Getting readjusted, Pastor. Mind if I ask you something?" "Course not. Close the door." I did, then sat in the cracked leather chair across from his desk. "Carl Cypher. What's his story?" The pastor's expression shifted, became carefully neutral. "Mr. Cypher has been very generous to our congregation. Helped us fix the roof, bought new books for the Sunday school." "That's not what I asked." He sighed, set down the money he'd been counting. "What has Trinity told you?" "Nothing. That's the problem." "Maybe you should talk to your wife, Neo." "I'm talking to you." We stared at each other for a long moment. Finally, he leaned back, studying me. "I served too, you know. Marines back in '91. I know that look in your eyes, brother. That feeling that something ain't right, but you can't quite name it." "So you feel it too." "About Cypher. Man comes in here, no history anyone can verify, starts throwing money around like it's nothing. Says he's in imports and exports. Always got a different car, always got cash. Your wife." He stopped, shook his head. "What about my wife?" "She's been struggling, Neo. We all tried to help, but she's proud. Wouldn't take charity. Then Cypher started coming around, and suddenly her problems seemed to ease up." The ice in my spine spread to my chest. "You saying what I think you're saying?" "I'm not saying nothing except talk to your wife. And Neo?" He leaned forward. "Be careful. Whatever Cypher is, he ain't someone you want to cross without a plan." I found Trinity and Zara outside, Zara playing hopscotch on the sidewalk while Trinity watched, arms crossed, that worry line back between her eyebrows. "We need to talk," I said quietly. "Not here, not in front of her. Tonight, then, after she's asleep." Trinity nodded, wouldn't look at me. "Come on, baby," she called to Zara. "Let's go home." The rest of the day was a dance of avoidance. Trinity busied herself with housework that didn't need doing. I took Zara to the park, pushing her on the swings while my mind churned through possibilities. Drug dealing was the obvious answer. The cash, the cars, the nervous energy that clung to Trinity like perfume. But that didn't fit the Trinity I knew. The woman who'd cried when she'd accidentally run over a squirrel. Who volunteered at the homeless shelter every Thanksgiving. But then again, the Trinity I knew wouldn't have secrets. Wouldn't flinch when I touched her unexpectedly. Wouldn't have a drug dealer's phone number because what else could Cypher be? Written on a notepad in our kitchen. "Higher, Daddy! Higher!" Zara squealed, and I pushed harder, her laughter bright in the afternoon sun. "Daddy, are you sad?" she asked later as we sat on a bench eating ice cream from the truck. "What makes you think I'm sad, baby girl?" She shrugged, getting chocolate on her nose. "You got your thinking face on. Mommy gets that face too sometimes, usually after Mr. Cypher leaves." "How often does Mr. Cypher come by?" "I don't know, sometimes. He brought Mommy flowers once, but she threw them away after he left. She was crying." Zara looked up at me with those big brown eyes, so like her mother's. "Is Mommy in trouble?" I pulled her close, kissed the top of her head. No, sweetheart. Everything's going to be fine. But even as I said it, I knew I was lying. Everything was very much not fine. That evening, after dinner, Trinity barely touched her food, and after Zara's bath and bedtime stories, Trinity and I sat at the kitchen table like we were negotiating a ceasefire. "How much do you owe him?" I asked, skipping the foreplay. Trinity's shoulders sagged. 12,000. 12. Jesus Christ, Trinity, how? Your combat pay stopped coming 3 months ago. Some administrative error, they said. I tried to fix it, but the VA kept giving me the runaround. The mortgage was due. Zara needed new clothes for school. The car broke down. Tears were streaming down her face now. I didn't know what else to do. "So you borrowed from a drug dealer?" "I didn't know that's what he was. Not at first. He was just this guy at church. Seemed successful. Offered to help. Said it was a loan between friends, no pressure." And then the interest started. 50%. Compounded monthly. I tried to pay it back, but it just kept growing. He said... She stopped, wiped her eyes. What did he say? He said there were other ways to pay it back, if I couldn't get the money. The rage that flooded through me was pure and cold, the kind I'd felt right before a firefight. My hands clenched into fists, so tight my knuckles cracked. "Did he touch you?" No, Neo, I swear, I would never. I told him I'd get the money. That's why I've been working extra shifts, tutoring kids after school, anything I could find. The TV? The purse? Gifts. He said they didn't count against what I owed. I tried to refuse them, but he insisted. Said it would be rude not to accept. Creating obligation, I muttered. Classic manipulation tactic. Make the mark feel beholden, blur the lines between gift and payment. What about the drugs? What drugs? I went to the garage, found her car keys, searched the glove box. The drug test strips were still there, along with a small bag of white powder I hadn't noticed before. I brought both back, set them on the table. Trinity's face went pale. I don't. I've never seen those before. They were in your car. He must have. Oh God, Neo, he has a key. He insisted on having one made, said it was insurance for his investment. She grabbed my hands across the table. I swear on our daughter's life, I don't know anything about drugs. I'm not using, I'm not selling. I would never. I studied her face, looking for the tell. In Afghanistan, you learned to read people fast. Your life depended on knowing who was lying. Trinity's eyes were red-rimmed but steady, her hands trembling but her voice firm. She was telling the truth, or at least the truth as she knew it. He's setting you up, I said slowly. Classic frame job. If you can't pay, he calls the cops, says you've been dealing for him. The drugs in your car are evidence. You go to prison, he gets... Zara, Trinity whispered, the horror of it dawning on her. He kept asking about her. Said she was beautiful, that she'd grow up to be a heartbreaker. Now my rage turned hot, volcanic. I stood so fast the chair toppled backward. Neo, where are you going? To end this! She jumped up, grabbed my arm. No, you can't! He has connections, Neo. Cops, judges. He bragged about it. You just got home. You can't... The front door rattled. Not a knock, but the sound of a key in a lock. Trinity's face went white. Oh, God, he's here. Take Zara and go upstairs. Lock the bedroom door. Neo, now! She ran. I heard her footsteps on the stairs, heard Zara's sleepy voice asking what was wrong. The door opened and Carl Cipher walked into my house like he owned it. He was bigger up close than he'd looked in church. 6'2", maybe 220, but soft around the middle. The kind of guy who'd hired muscle instead of being it. His suit probably cost more than most people's cars, and his smile was pure arrogance. You must be Neo, he said, like we were meeting at a fucking cocktail party. I've heard so much about you. Get out of my house. Your house? He chuckled, pulled out one of my kitchen chairs, sat down without invitation. Funny thing about that. See, your wife owes me quite a bit of money, and this house, well, it's collateral. The hell it is. Oh, but it is. She signed papers, legal papers. He pulled out his phone, showed me a document. Trinity's signature at the bottom, clear as day. Course, she was pretty desperate at the time. Amazing what people will sign when their kid needs medicine and they can't afford it. Medicine? Oh, she didn't tell you? Little Zara had pneumonia 2 months ago. Hospital bills were substantial. Insurance wouldn't cover all of it. Lucky I was there to help. I wanted to put my fist through his face. Wanted to show him what I'd learned in Kandahar about making people hurt. But I could hear Pastor Robinson's voice in my head. Be careful. Not someone you want to cross without a plan. How much? I asked instead. With interest? 25,000. You said 12. That was last week. Interest, you understand. Compounding is a bitch. He stood, straightened his tie. But I'm not unreasonable. There are alternative payment arrangements we could discuss. If you're suggesting what I think you're suggesting, I'm not suggesting anything. Just saying, your wife is a beautiful woman. Be a shame if something happened to her. Or to little Zara. Accidents happen all the time, you know. Kids wander off, get into the wrong car. The threat hung in the air between us like a loaded gun. My vision tunneled, that red haze that meant I was about to do something violent. But then I heard it Zara's voice from upstairs asking if Daddy was okay. Cypher heard it too. His smile widened. Such a sweet little voice. You should think very carefully about your next move, soldier boy. I own cops, I own judges. You touch me, you'll be in prison before the bruise fades, and then who'll protect your family? He moved toward the door, then paused. You've got until Friday. 25,000 or we explore other options. And Neo? That military tough guy shit might work in the sandbox, but this is my battlefield. You're out of your league. The door closed behind him with a soft click. I stood there, hands shaking with rage and something else fear. Not for me, but for them. For Trinity, who'd gotten in over her head trying to keep our family afloat. For Zara, innocent and trusting and completely unaware of the danger circling her like sharks. I heard footsteps on the stairs. Trinity, creeping down cautiously. Is he gone? Yeah. She came to me, wrapped her arms around me, and for a moment we just stood there, holding each other in our kitchen while the weight of it all pressed down on us. I'm so sorry, she whispered. I'm so sorry. We'll figure it out, I said, even though I had no idea how. 25,000 might as well be 25 million. We'll figure it out. But even as I held her, my mind was already working, planning, strategizing. In Afghanistan, we'd had a saying, every enemy has a weakness. Find it, exploit it, survive another day. Carl Cypher had just threatened my daughter. He'd made this personal. And if there was one thing the Army had taught me, it was how to take things very, very personally. Friday. I had until Friday to find his weakness and exploit it, or lose everything I'd come home to protect. Chapter 3. I didn't sleep that night. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Cypher's face, heard his threat against Zara. Trinity eventually drifted off around 3 a.m., exhausted from crying, but I stayed awake, standing watch like I was back on patrol. By dawn, I had a plan. Not a good plan, maybe, but something. First things first. Intelligence gathering. In Afghanistan, we never went into a situation blind if we could help it. I needed to know everything about Carl Cypher, where he lived, who he associated with, what his real business was. And I needed to know it without him knowing I was looking. I slipped out of bed at first light, left Trinity sleeping. Downstairs, I made coffee and opened Trinity's laptop. Her email was already logged in, and what I found made my stomach turn. Messages from Cypher going back 6 months, starting friendly enough, then gradually becoming more insistent, more threatening. The last one, sent yesterday, was just 4 words. Time's running out, beautiful. I screenshotted everything, emailed it to myself. Evidence. Always collect evidence. Next, I checked our bank accounts. Nearly empty. Trinity hadn't been lying about the money troubles. The mortgage was 2 months behind, credit cards maxed out. How had I not known? I'd been sending money home every month, but I checked the transaction history. The deposits had stopped 3 months ago, just like Trinity said. But when I logged into my military pay account, it showed the money had been sent. So where the hell did it go? Daddy? I turned to find Zara in her frozen pajamas, rubbing her eyes. Hey, baby girl, you're up early. I had a bad dream. She climbed into my lap, curled against my chest. There was a bad man trying to get into our house. Jesus, kids knew. They always knew when something was wrong. No bad men are getting in here, sweetheart. Daddy won't let them. Promise? Promise. She was quiet for a moment then. Daddy, why was Mommy crying last night? Grown-up stuff, baby. Nothing for you to worry about. Is it about the money? Mommy's always worried about money. I hugged her tighter. How about we make Mommy breakfast? Surprise her? Can we make pancakes? Pancakes it is. We were halfway through mixing batter when my phone rang. Unknown number, but I recognized the area code. Military. Morrison here. Sergeant Morrison? This is Lieutenant Patterson from Finance. I'm calling about your pay issue. My pay issue? Yes, Sergeant. We've discovered an error in the routing. Your combat pay has been depositing into the wrong account for the past 3 months. We're working to recover the funds, but what? The account belongs to a C. Brown. Ring any bells? C. Brown. Cypher Brown. The motherfucker had been stealing my combat pay. Yeah, I said, keeping my voice steady for Zara's sake. It rings bells. We'll need you to file a report. Can you come to the VA office today? I'll be there. I hung up, mind racing. Cypher had somehow redirected my pay. That meant he had inside help, someone at the VA or the bank. This was bigger than just loan sharking. After breakfast, Trinity managed to smile at the pancakes. Though her eyes were still red, I told her I needed to run some errands. She nodded, didn't ask questions. We were both pretending everything was normal for Zara's sake. My first stop was the VA office downtown. Lieutenant Patterson was young, maybe 25, with the earnest look of someone who still believed the system worked. This is highly irregular, he said, showing me the paperwork. Someone used your social security number to change your direct deposit information. It would require either your authorization or someone on the inside. He looked uncomfortable. I couldn't say. Who processed the change? I can't share that information. Lieutenant, that money was supposed to feed my family. My 6-year-old daughter. Someone stole from her. You telling me you're okay with that? He wavered, then pulled up something on his computer. The change was processed by a Martha Hendricks in our accounting department, but she left 2 months ago. Suddenly. No forwarding information. Let me guess, right after the change was made. Right after. I had a name. It was a start. My next stop was less official. Tank Williams ran a gym on the south side, one of those old-school places with heavy bags duct-taped together and a ring that had seen better days. Tank had been force recon in the Marines, and now he trained fighters and kept his ear to the ground. Neo Morrison, he said when I walked in, his face splitting into a grin. Heard you were back. How's the sandbox? Sandy, you got a minute? For you? Always. We went to his office in the back, a cramped space that smelled like leather and sweat. Carl Cypher, I said. What do you know? Tank's expression darkened. Why you asking about him? He's got hooks in Trinity. Shit. Tank leaned back, the chair creaking under his bulk. Cypher's bad news, brother. Runs drugs through the south side, but that's just the tip. Loan sharking, extortion, some say he's into trafficking too. Trafficking? Young girls. Runaways mostly. Nothing proven, but... He shrugged. You didn't hear this from me, but word is he's got a warehouse down by the docks. Unit 47. Does his real business there? Security? Usually 2 or 3 guys. Ex-cons mostly, nothing special. But Neo, you can't just roll up on him. He wasn't lying about owning cops. Half the narcotics unit is on his payroll. I'm not going to roll up on him. I'm going to be smarter than that. Tank studied me. You got that look, brother. Same one you had before that tournament in Vegas when everyone said you couldn't beat Rodriguez. I beat Rodriguez. Yeah, you did. Broke his jaw in 3 places. He opened his desk drawer, pulled out a burner phone. You need backup, you call me, don't care what time. Thanks, Tank. Neo, be careful, Cypher don't fight fair. Neither do I thought. Not when my family's on the line. I spent the rest of the day doing reconnaissance. Drove by Cypher's warehouse, noting cameras, entry points, the black Escalade parked outside. Followed him from there to a club downtown. Watched him glad hand with men in expensive suits and women young enough to be his daughter. Around 3 p.m., I picked up Zara from school. She chattered about her day, about the picture she'd drawn of our family. In the drawing, I was huge, standing in front of Trinity and her, arms spread wide like I was shielding them from something. "That's you protecting us," she explained, "because you're a soldier and soldiers protect people." "That's right, baby girl, that's exactly right." We stopped at the park on the way home. While Zara played, I sat on a bench and made calls. Old Army buddies, some now in law enforcement, others in less official lines of work, building a network, gathering intel. "Cypher Brown?" said Jake Martinez, now with the DEA. "Yeah, we've been trying to nail him for years. Guy's slippery. Always has fall guys, never touches the product himself." "What if I could get you something concrete?" "What kind of something?" "The kind that puts him away." "Neo, what are you planning?" "Nothing illegal, just creative intelligence gathering." "I didn't hear that. But hypothetically, if someone were to hypothetically find evidence of federal crimes and hypothetically share it with the right people, hypothetically, that would be helpful?" "Very hypothetically helpful." By the time we got home, I had a clearer picture. Cypher was connected but not untouchable. He was smart but arrogant, and most importantly, he was predictable. Every Friday, he made his rounds, collecting debts. He'd be at our house in 3 days, expecting his money or whatever else he thought he could take. That evening, after dinner, I helped Zara with her homework while Trinity graded papers at the kitchen table. It was almost normal, almost like the family I'd dreamed about in Afghanistan, except for the undercurrent of fear, the way Trinity jumped every time a car drove past. "Bath time, little one," I said to Zara. "Can Mr. Bubbles come?" She held up her rubber duck. "Mr. Bubbles can definitely come." While I was running the bath, I heard Trinity's phone ring downstairs, her voice muffled but tense. I left Zara playing in the bubbles and crept to the top of the stairs. "Told you I'd have it. No, he doesn't know about. Please, just a few more days." I went back to the bathroom, my jaw clenched. She was still trying to protect me from this, still trying to handle it alone. Part of me loved her for it. Part of me was furious that she didn't trust me to fix this. After Zara was in bed, I found Trinity in our room, folding laundry with mechanical precision. "Who was on the phone?" She didn't look up. "No one. Wrong number." "Trinity." "Neo, please, just let me handle this." "Like you've been handling it?" "Baby, he's threatened our daughter." She crumpled then, sinking onto the bed. "I know. God, I know. I'm so scared, Neo. I don't know what to do." I sat beside her, pulled her close. "You don't have to do anything. I've got this." "How? We don't have $25,000. We don't have anything." "We have more than you think." I tilted her chin up, made her look at me. "Do you trust me?" "Yes, but no buts. Do you trust me?" "Yes." "Then trust me now. By Friday, this will all be over." She searched my face. "What are you going to do?" "What I was trained to do, protect my family." That night, she clung to me like I might disappear. We made love for the first time since I'd been home, desperate and quiet, trying not to wake Zara. Afterward, she traced the new scars on my chest, the ones I'd gotten in a firefight outside Kabul. "I thought I'd lost you," she whispered. "When they said your unit was in a fight, and 3 soldiers were killed, I thought I'd lost you. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Promise? Promise." But as she fell asleep in my arms, I wondered if that was a promise I could keep. Friday was coming fast, and I still didn't have all the pieces in place. Cypher held all the cards, the money, the connections, the leverage. All I had was the element of surprise and the kind of determination that comes from having everything to lose. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. "Your wife looks pretty when she sleeps. So does your daughter." Attached was a photo taken through our bedroom window. Tonight, while we were sleeping. I slipped out of bed, grabbed the baseball bat from the closet, and stalked through the house. The backyard was empty, but in the flower bed below our window, fresh footprints. Another text. "Friday, don't disappoint me." I stood in my backyard in my boxers, bat in hand, rage coursing through my veins like liquid fire. He'd been here, at my house, watching my family sleep. That was his first mistake. Making it personal was his second. I went inside, pulled up the photo he'd sent, studied it. In the reflection on the window, barely visible, was the photographer. Not Cypher too small, one of his guys, but clear enough that facial recognition might work. I forwarded it to Jake at the DEA, then to Tank, then to 3 other contacts. Someone would know this guy, and when I found him, he'd lead me to everything else I needed. Friday was coming, but I'd be ready. Chapter 4, Thursday night. Less than 24 hours until Cypher's deadline, and the pieces were finally falling into place. I'd spent 3 days building my case, and what I'd found was worse than I'd imagined. The warehouse Tank had mentioned wasn't just for drugs, it was a hub for something much darker. The photographer from the other night, identified by Jake as Marcus "Snake" Hernandez, had a record that included assault, possession, and suspected human trafficking. But it was what I'd found in our own house that changed everything. Trinity had gone to her Thursday night book club, which I now knew was actually a support group for families of deployed soldiers. She'd been going for months, trying to deal with the stress alone. Zara was at my mother's for the night. I'd told Mom we needed a date night, though the truth was I needed Zara nowhere near what was coming. I was in the garage, going through boxes of old paperwork, when I found it. A life insurance policy I didn't remember signing, dated 3 weeks ago. $1 million with Trinity as the beneficiary. The signature was mine, but I'd been in Afghanistan 3 weeks ago. Forgery. Add that to the list of Cypher's crimes. My phone rang. Jake Martinez. Neo, you need to see this. That photo you sent? We ran it through facial recognition. Your boy Snake? He's wanted in connection with 3 missing girls, all runaways, all last seen near Cypher's club. Jesus. There's more. That Martha Hendricks, the VA employee who changed your direct deposit? She's been reported missing, has been for 2 months. My blood ran cold. You think Cypher. I think she knew too much. Neo, whatever you're planning, be careful. This guy doesn't just hurt people, he disappears them. After Jake hung up, I sat in my garage, surrounded by the detritus of a normal life Christmas decorations, Zara's old bike, camping gear from happier times. How had it come to this? My phone buzzed. Trinity, on my way home. We need to talk. 20 minutes later, she walked in, and I knew immediately something was different. She looked determined. Scared, but determined. I went to see him, she said without preamble. Trinity. What? Just listen. I went to see Cypher. Told him I'd get him his money tomorrow. We don't have... I know. She pulled out a manila envelope from her purse, handed it to me. But we have this. Inside were photos. Cypher at his warehouse with girls who looked barely 18. Cypher taking money from someone in a police uniform. Cypher and Snake moving wrapped bundles that were definitely not legal imports. How did you get these? There's a woman in my support group, Elena. Her husband was killed in Iraq 2 years ago. Cypher tried the same thing with her loan, interest, threats, but her brother's a private investigator. They've been building a case, waiting for enough evidence. When I told her about us, she gave me these. Trinity, this is dangerous. If Cypher finds out you have these, he won't, because we're going to use them tomorrow. We? She moved closer, took my hands. I got us into this mess. Let me help get us out. Absolutely not. It's too dangerous. Neo Morrison, I have been holding this family together for a year while you were gone. I made mistakes, yes, bad ones. But I'm not some damsel in distress. I'm your partner. So either we do this together, or I do it alone. I looked at her, really looked at her. This woman who'd carried our family on her shoulders, who'd made an impossible choice to protect our daughter, who was now standing here ready to fight. Okay, I said. Together. We spent the next 3 hours planning. Trinity would meet Cypher at the diner downtown Public, lots of witnesses. She'd give him an envelope with some cash, buying time. Meanwhile, I'd be at the warehouse with Tank and 2 other veterans, documenting everything. Jake would be on standby with a DEA team. What if something goes wrong? Trinity asked. Then we go to Plan B, which is, I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. She laughed, dark and bitter. That's reassuring. Hey, I pulled her close. We're going to get through this. All of us. How can you be so sure? Because I've been through worse. Because I've got something worth fighting for. And because Cypher made one crucial mistake. What's that? He underestimated us. That night, we barely slept. We lay in bed, holding each other, talking about everything and nothing, about Zara's first steps, about our wedding day, about dreams we'd had before life got complicated. "Remember when we first met?" Trinity whispered. "That coffee shop on K Street? You spilled your latte on my uniform. You said it was an improvement. It was. That uniform was ugly as hell." She laughed, soft and real. "I fell in love with you that day, you know, the way you smiled like you'd already decided I was worth the trouble. You were, you are. Even now? Even after everything? Especially now." Morning came too soon. Zara called from my mother's, excited about the pancakes Grandma was making. I talked to her for 10 minutes, memorizing the sound of her laughter, the way she said, "Daddy," like it was the best word in the world. "I love you, baby girl." "Love you too, Daddy. Are you and Mommy having fun on your date?" "Yeah, sweetheart. We're having fun." After I hung up, Trinity was watching me with tears in her eyes. "We have to win," she said. "For her. We will." I loaded my truck with equipment cameras, recording devices, a gun I hoped I wouldn't need. Tank called to confirm he was in position. Jake texted that his team was ready. At 11 a.m., Trinity left for the diner. I followed 10 minutes later, taking a different route to the warehouse. The place looked deserted from the outside, but I knew better. Snake's car was parked around back, along with 2 others. I met Tank in an abandoned building across the street. "3 guys inside," he said, binoculars trained on the windows. "Snake and 2 others. No sign of Cypher yet. He's meeting Trinity at the diner." "You sure about this plan?" "No, but it's what we've got." We waited. Noon came and went. 12:30. Trinity should have been done by now. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello, Neo." Cypher's voice smooth as oil. "I have to say I'm disappointed." My blood turned to ice. "Where is she?" "Your wife? Oh, she's here. Had a change of plans. That diner was too public for my taste." "If you hurt her, relax, soldier boy. She's fine. For now. But here's what's going to happen. You're going to come to the warehouse, alone. You're going to bring those photos your wife thought she was so clever hiding. And we're going to have a final conversation about your family's future." "I don't have any photos." "Please. I have eyes everywhere, Neo. I know about Elena, about the private investigator, about your DEA friend. Did you really think you could outsmart me? Think, Neo. Think." 1 hour, Cypher continued. "Come alone, or Trinity learns what happens to people who cross me, like poor Martha Hendricks." The line went dead. Tank looked at me. "It's a trap." "I know. You can't go in there alone." "I don't have a choice." "Bull. We call Jake, get the DEA here, and Trinity dies before they get through the door." I checked my gun, made sure I had an extra magazine. "I'm going in, but not the way he expects." "Neo, you were Force Recon. You know sometimes the only way through is straight into the fire." Tank was quiet for a moment. Then, "What do you need?" "A distraction. In exactly 30 minutes, I need you to do something loud." "How loud?" "Remember that tournament in Vegas? When you broke Rodriguez's jaw?" "No. When you set off the fire alarm to clear the casino floor so I could get to the fight on time." Tank grinned. "I can do loud." I made my way around to the back of the warehouse. There was a loading dock there, probably locked, but locks had never been much of an obstacle. Not after the things I'd learned in Afghanistan. 25 minutes. I texted Jake. "Cypher has Trinity. Moving in. Be ready." His response was immediate. "Team en route. 10 minutes. Not fast enough, but maybe enough for cleanup." 20 minutes. I found an access ladder to the roof. Climbing it brought back memories of scaling buildings in Kandahar, searching for sniper positions. The roof was tar and gravel, hot under the afternoon sun. There was a skylight near the center, painted over but cracked. 15 minutes. Through the crack, I could see into the warehouse. Trinity was tied to a chair in the middle of the floor. Cypher paced around her, gesturing with a gun. Snake and 2 other men stood guard. 10 minutes. I texted my mother. "Tell Zara I love her." "Mom, what's wrong?" "Nothing. Just tell her." 5 minutes. I positioned myself by the skylight, gun ready. Through the crack, I could hear Cypher talking. "Should have just paid. Would have been so much simpler. But no, you had to involve your husband. Had to make it complicated. Go to hell, Trinity spat. He backhanded her. The crack of impact, the way her head snapped to the side, my vision went red. 2 minutes. He's not coming, Trinity said, blood on her lip. He's too smart for that. We'll see. 1 minute. I heard Tank's distraction before I saw it. His truck, speeding toward the front of the warehouse. The men inside turned toward the sound. The truck hit the loading door with a crash that shook the building. Alarms started blaring. Snake and the others ran toward the front. I shot out the skylight and dropped through, 12 feet to the floor. I hit hard, rolled, came up with my gun trained on Cypher. Let her go! He pressed his gun to Trinity's temple. I don't think so. It's over, Cypher. DEA's on the way. Your boy Snake is about to have his hands full with my backup. You've got maybe 3 minutes before this place is swarming with feds. Then I've got 3 minutes to kill you both and disappear. You could, but you won't. No? No, because you're a businessman and dead bodies are bad for business. I pulled out the manila envelope, tossed it on the floor between us. There are your photos. Take them and go. Disappear. Start over somewhere else. And the money? Forget the money. You stole 3 months of my combat pay. We'll call it even. He laughed. You think it's that simple? I think you're smart enough to know when to cut your losses. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. 2 minutes, I said. Cypher looked at the envelope, at Trinity, at me, calculating. You know what your problem is, Neo? You think this is about money. It's not. It's about respect, power. You disrespected me. I don't even know you. Exactly. You come home, thinking you're some kind of hero, and suddenly everyone's looking at me different. The scared little military wives stop being so scared. Start thinking maybe they don't have to pay. So this is about ego? Everything's about ego. The sirens were louder now. Through the broken skylight, I could see red and blue lights flashing. 1 minute, I said. You're not walking out of here, Cypher said. Neither are you if you pull that trigger. We stood there, frozen in our Mexican standoff. Then the front door exploded inward. DEA agents in tactical gear, weapons drawn, shouting commands. Cypher's eyes went wide. He swung his gun toward the agents. I moved without thinking. 3 steps, tackle him before he could fire. We hit the ground hard, the gun skittering across the floor. He was bigger, but I was trained. I had his arm twisted behind his back before he could recover. Carl Cypher, you're under arrest, Jake said, cuffs already out. You set me up, Cypher snarled at me. No, you set yourself up the moment you threatened my family. As they dragged him away, he turned back. This isn't over. Yeah, I said, untying Trinity. It is. She collapsed into my arms, sobbing. I held her while the warehouse filled with law enforcement, while they arrested Snake and the others, while they found the drugs and the guns and the evidence of everything Cypher had been doing. The girls, Trinity said suddenly. Elena said there might be girls here. Jake heard her. Within minutes, they'd found a locked room in the back. 3 girls, all runaways, all alive. One of them was only 14. You did good, Jake said to me later, as the scene was being processed. Real good. Just protected my family. No, you did more than that. You saved those girls. Probably saved future victims, too. I looked at Trinity, giving her statement to another agent. She caught my eye, smiled despite the bruise forming on her cheek. We need to get that looked at, I said when she was done. I'm okay. You're hurt. I've been hurt before. I survived. She took my hand. We survived. That night after the hospital, after the police statements, after retrieving Zara from my very worried mother, we sat on our porch. Zara was asleep in my lap, worn out from the excitement of her day with Grandma. Trinity leaned against my shoulder, her hand in mine. It's really over? She asked. Cypher's looking at 25 to life. Trafficking, drugs, extortion, kidnapping, he's done. And us? Are we going to be okay? The VA's expediting the return of my pay. Insurance will cover the therapy Zara's going to need to process all this. We'll make it. That's not what I meant. I looked at her. I don't know. Trust is broken. It's going to take time to rebuild. But you're willing to try? I thought about it. About the lies, the secrets, the danger she'd brought into our lives, but also about the woman who'd fought to keep our family together, who'd risked everything to get those photos, who'd faced down Cypher even when she was terrified. "Yeah," I said. "I'm willing to try. I love you, Neo. I know I messed up, but I never stopped loving you." "I know." We sat in silence, watching the stars come out over Sacramento. Somewhere out there, Cypher was in a cell. The girls he'd held were safe. My family was together. I'd come home from one war and walked straight into another, but this time, I'd won. We'd won. Zara stirred in my lap, mumbled something about angels. "Yeah, baby girl," I whispered. "We got angels watching over us." Trinity squeezed my hand. Or maybe just a soldier who knows how to fight for what matters. I kissed the top of Zara's head, then leaned over to kiss Trinity's forehead, gentle around the bruise. "Same thing," I said. The porch light flickered on, motion activated by a cat crossing the yard. For a moment, my body tensed, ready for threat. Then I forced myself to relax. The war was over, both of them. Time to learn how to live in peace. It wouldn't be easy. Nothing worth fighting for ever is. But looking at my girls, safe and whole and here, I knew we'd make it. We were survivors, all of us. And sometimes, that's enough. Sometimes, that's everything. Chapter 5. 3 days after Cypher's arrest, and our house felt like a crime scene we were still living in. Yellow tape might as well have been strung across every doorway, marking the boundaries of our old life and whatever came next. I sat at the kitchen table, sorting through legal documents while Zara colored at the other end, her tongue poking out in concentration. "Daddy, why do we have to talk to so many people?" she asked, not looking up from her princess coloring book. "Just grown-up stuff, baby girl." Making sure everyone stays safe. The truth was uglier. Child Protective Services had opened an investigation. Trinity was staying at her sister's place in Elk Grove voluntary separation, our lawyer called it. Better optics for the custody evaluation. Every night Zara asked when Mommy was coming home, and every night I lied with a smile that cut my mouth like broken glass. The doorbell rang, sharp in the morning quiet. Through the peephole, I saw Detective Patricia Washington, the lead on Cypher's case, mid-40s, no-nonsense, with eyes that had seen too much. "Mr. Morrison, we need to talk." I let her in, sent Zara to play in her room. Washington sat where Trinity used to sit, and the wrongness of it made my chest tight. "Cypher made bail," she said without preamble. The words hit like a sledgehammer. "How?" "The judge set it at $2 million. Someone posted it, cash. We're trying to trace the source, but—" She shrugged, frustrated. "His lawyer's good. Argued that the trafficking charges were circumstantial, that the girls were runaways who came willingly. That's bullshit." "I know. You know. But proving it in court is different." She leaned forward. "There's more. Cypher's attorney filed a defamation suit against you and your wife. Claims you manufactured evidence that this was all a setup to avoid paying legitimate debts." I laughed, bitter and sharp. "He threatens my daughter and now he's the victim? I'm not saying it'll stick, but it muddies the water. Makes you look less credible as witnesses." She pulled out her phone, showed me a photo. "Recognize him?" The man in the photo was thin, nervous-looking, with the kind of forgettable face that probably helped in his line of work. "No? Should I?" "Marcus Hendricks, Martha's brother, the VA employee who went missing. He came forward yesterday, says his sister is in Mexico hiding from you." "From me?" "According to him, you threatened her when you found out about the pay mix-up. Says she fled for her safety." The rage that flooded through me was pure and hot. "That's a lie." "I believe you, but it's another complication. Cypher's building a counter-narrative, painting you as the dangerous one, the unstable veteran who came home paranoid and violent." I stood, paced to the window. Outside, our neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez was watering her roses, normal life continuing while mine imploded. "What do you need from me?" "Everything. Every detail, every conversation, every piece of evidence. We're going to trial in 6 weeks, and I need to be ready for whatever story Cypher's spinning." We spent the next 2 hours going through everything. The photos from Elena, the recording from the warehouse, the paper trail of Trinity's debts. Washington took notes in neat handwriting, occasionally asking for clarification. "What about the girls you found?" I asked. "They can testify." "Two of them disappeared from the group home 3 nights ago. The third, Sarah, she's fragile. 14 years old, been through hell. Not sure she'll hold up on the stand." "So Cypher gets to walk?" "Not if I can help it." She stood, gathered her files. "But Neo, I need you to understand something. Cypher's not just some street thug. He's connected, smart, and now he's desperate. Watch your back." After she left, I called Trinity. She answered on the third ring, her voice hollow. "He's out," I said. "I know. I saw it on the news." "You okay?" "Define okay." She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "My daughter asks for me every night. I'm probably going to lose custody, and the man who destroyed our lives is walking free. I'm fantastic." Trinity. "No, Neo, don't. Don't tell me it's going to be okay because we both know that's not true. I screwed up. I brought this into our home, and now," her voice cracked, "now I might lose everything that matters. You're not going to lose Zara." "Aren't I?" The CPS worker looked at me like I was trash, Neo. Asked if I'd ever used drugs, if I'd ever left Zara alone with Cypher. The way she said it, like she'd already decided I was an unfit mother. I wanted to comfort her, but the words wouldn't come. Because part of me, the part that had found those drug test strips, that had watched Cypher walk into our home like he owned it, part of me wondered the same thing. "We have a meeting tomorrow," I said instead. "Family court, 2 o'clock. "I know. My lawyer says I shouldn't expect much. That the best I can hope for is supervised visitation." Trinity. "I have to go. Kiss Zara for me." She hung up before I could respond. That evening, after dinner mac and cheese, Zara's favorite, we sat on the couch watching Frozen for the 100th time. She curled against me, so small, so trusting. "Daddy, is Mommy in trouble?" The question I'd been dreading. "Why do you think that, sweetheart?" "Lindsay at school said her mom told her that Mommy did bad things. That's why she can't live with us." Lindsay's mom, Jennifer Patterson, PTA president and professional gossip. I made a mental note to have a conversation with her. "Mommy made some mistakes," I said carefully, "but she loves you very much." "Did she make mistakes with Mr. Cypher?" My blood chilled. "What do you know about Mr. Cypher?" Zara picked at a thread on her pajamas. "He came to school once, talked to me at recess, said he was Mommy's friend, but Mommy says we don't talk to him anymore." "When was this?" "Last week, before the police came to our house. Jesus, he'd approached her at school." "What did he say to you?" "He said I was pretty, that I looked like Mommy. Asked if I wanted to see his new car." She looked up at me with those innocent brown eyes. "But I remembered what you taught me about strangers, so I told Mrs. Rodriguez and went inside." My hands were shaking. I pulled her closer, kissed the top of her head. "You did exactly right, baby girl. I'm so proud of you. Is Mr. Cypher a bad man?" "Yes. He's a very bad man, and if you ever see him again, you run to a teacher immediately, okay?" "Okay, Daddy." She fell asleep during the movie, and I carried her to bed. Standing in her doorway, watching her sleep, I felt the weight of everything crushing down. Cypher was out. He'd approached my daughter. Trinity was falling apart. And tomorrow, I had to walk into a courtroom and convince a judge that I could keep Zara safe. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You took something from me. I'm going to take everything from you." I deleted the message, but the threat lingered like smoke in the air. I checked every lock, every window. Set up my laptop to view the security cameras I'd installed 3 days ago. Loaded my Glock and placed it in the nightstand drawer. Then I sat in the dark living room, watching the street through the blinds. Every car that passed made my muscles tense. Every shadow could be a threat. This was what Afghanistan had trained me for: eternal vigilance, constant readiness. But there, the enemy wore different uniforms, operated in known patterns. Here, in my own home, the battlefield had no boundaries. Around 3 a.m., a black sedan crept down our street, too slow for innocent purposes. It paused in front of our house for 30 seconds, I counted, then continued on. I noted the partial plate I could see, texted it to Washington. Her response was immediate despite the hour. "On it. Don't do anything stupid." But stupid was starting to look like the only option left. The system that was supposed to protect us was failing, Cypher was free, Trinity was crumbling, and my daughter was being stalked by a predator. The soldier in me knew sometimes you had to take the fight to the enemy. Rules be damned. I pulled up Tank's number, hesitated. Once I made this call, there'd be no going back. Neo? His voice was alert, like he'd been expecting this. What do you need? Information. Everything you can find on Cypher's operation. Who's still loyal to him, where his money comes from, what his next move might be. You planning something? I'm planning to protect my family. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. Silence on the line, then. I'll make some calls, but, Neo, if you're thinking about going after him, I'm thinking about ending this, one way or another. Brother, you got a little girl who needs her daddy. Don't do something that takes you away from her. And if I don't do something, he might take her away from me. Permanently. Tank sighed. Give me 24 hours. I'll find what you need, but promise me you won't move without backup. 24 hours, I agreed. But we both knew promises made in darkness rarely survived the dawn. After Tank hung up, I made another call. Jake Martinez answered on the second ring. Neo, this better be important. Cypher made bail. I heard. We're monitoring him, but nothing. He approached Zara at her school last week. Silence, then. You're sure? She told me tonight. He tried to lure her to his car. Jesus, okay, that's attempted kidnapping. I can work with that. Can Zara give a statement? I'm not putting her through that unless absolutely necessary. It might be the thing that puts him away. Or traumatizes her further. Find another way, Jake. There might be one. That warehouse where we arrested him? We've been going through the records. Turns out Cypher doesn't own it. It's registered to a shell company. We crack that, we might find evidence of money laundering, tax evasion, federal charges that stick better than state ones. How long? Weeks, maybe months. I don't have months. He's escalating. Then be smart. Document everything. Get a restraining order. Make it impossible for him to claim you're the aggressor. Good advice. Safe advice. The kind that assumed the system worked, that restraining orders meant something to men like Cypher. After Jake hung up, I sat in the darkness, planning. Cypher thought he was hunting us, but he'd forgotten one crucial thing. I'd been trained by the best killers in the world. In Afghanistan, we'd learned to be patient, methodical, devastating. You didn't survive Kandahar without understanding that sometimes the best defense was making your enemy disappear before they knew you were coming. But that was there, where the rules were different. Here I had to be smarter, cleaner. Dawn came slowly, painting the walls gray, then gold. Zara woke at 7, bouncing into the living room in her dinosaur pajamas. Morning, Daddy. Can we have pancakes? Sure, baby girl. As I mixed batter and she chattered about her dreams, I made a decision. Cypher wanted a war? Fine. But it would be fought on my terms, with my rules. And unlike him, I had something worth fighting for sitting right across from me, syrup dripping down her chin, laughing at her own jokes. I love you, sweetheart, I said suddenly. She looked up, confused by the intensity. Love you too, Daddy. Forever and always. Forever and always. Whatever came next, whatever I had to do, it would be for her. To keep her safe, to keep her innocent, to make sure she never had to learn how dark the world could really be. My phone rang. Washington. That partial plate you sent? Registered to a Carl Brown. Not Cypher, but close enough to be interesting. And Neo? There was a 911 call from Trinity's sister's house 20 minutes ago. Trinity's missing. The spatula fell from my hand, clattering on the floor. Zara looked up, startled. Daddy? Everything's fine, baby. But my hands were already reaching for my keys, my mind calculating distances, possibilities, the horrible reality that I might already be too late. We need to go see Grandma. Right now. Chapter 6. My mother lived 15 minutes away in Land Park, in the same two-story colonial where I'd grown up. I broke every speed limit getting there, Zara strapped in the back, confused but picking up on my tension. Why are we going so fast, Daddy? Just need to get there quick, sweetheart. Look, there's that dog park you like. Distraction, misdirection, parenting skills I'd never wanted to need. Mom was waiting on the porch, worry creasing her face. She'd raised an army brat, then watched her son become a soldier she knew emergency when she saw it. "Zara, baby, why don't you go inside?" Mom said, her voice forcibly bright. "I made cookies yesterday. Chocolate chip." Once Zara was inside, Mom turned to me. "What's happening?" "Trinity's missing. Cypher's out on bail. I need you to keep Zara here. Don't answer the door for anyone you don't know, and call 911 if anything seems off." "Neo, please, Mom. I can't explain everything, but she's in danger. We all are." She nodded. No more questions. "I've still got your father's service weapon. I know how to use it. Dad had been Army too, Vietnam. Died when I was 12, but he'd taught Mom to shoot, to be prepared. Right now, I was grateful for his paranoia. I kissed her cheek, then knelt to hug Zara through the doorway. "Be good for Grandma, okay? Where are you going?" "To find Mommy." Her face lit up. "You're bringing Mommy home?" "I'm going to try, baby girl." The drive to Elk Grove took 20 minutes that felt like hours. Trinity's sister, Rebecca, lived in a suburban development, all identical houses and maintained lawns. American dream in beige and gray. 2 patrol cars were already there when I arrived. Rebecca was on the lawn, talking to officers still in her pajamas. When she saw me, her expression hardened. "This is your fault," she spat. "You and your paranoid bullshit." "What happened?" "She went for a run this morning. Always does. Same route, same time. Said it helped clear her head." Rebecca's voice cracked. "She's been gone 3 hours. Her phone's still in her room." I looked at the officers. Young, barely out of the academy. "Detective Washington sent me. Trinity Morrison's my wife." They exchanged glances. One pulled out his radio, confirmed with dispatch. After a moment, he nodded. "Detective's on her way. She said to tell you not to do anything until she arrives." But waiting wasn't an option. "Which route did she run?" Rebecca pointed toward the park at the end of the street. "Through there, around the lake, about 3 miles total." I was already moving. The officers called after me, but I didn't stop. The park was mostly empty this time of morning, too late for dawn runners, too early for stay-at-home moms with strollers. The path around the lake was well-maintained, popular, visible from dozens of houses. Not the kind of place you'd grab someone unless you were desperate or sending a message. I found it half a mile in. Trinity's running shoe, pink and white Nike, lying in the grass just off the path. No signs of struggle, no blood. Professional. My phone rang. Unknown number. "Missing something, soldier boy." Cypher. That smooth voice I'd learned to hate. "If you heard her." "Relax, she's fine. Bit scared, but unharmed for now." "What do you want?" "What I've always wanted. Respect, payment, justice." He laughed. "You cost me 3 girls, Neo. Young, profitable girls. Do you have any idea how much money you've cost me? Those were children, you sick. They were investments. And now I need to recoup my losses. Your wife will do nicely. Pretty thing, even if she is a bit old for my usual clientele." Bile rose in my throat. "I'll kill you." "No, you won't. Because if anything happens to me, she disappears. Forever. My people have instructions." "What do you want?" I repeated, forcing calm I didn't feel. "The photos, the recordings, everything you gave the police, I want copies. And I want you to recant your statement. Tell them you made it all up, that you were confused, traumatized from deployment. PTSD makes people do crazy things. That won't stop the federal investigation. Let me worry about that. You have 6 hours, Neo. After that, Trinity starts her new career. I hear there's good money in certain types of films, if you know what I mean." The line went dead. I stood there, Trinity's shoe in my hand, rage and fear fighting for dominance. 6 hours. Not enough time to trace the call, organize a rescue, do this the right way. But maybe enough time to do it my way. I called Tank. "I need that information now." "Still working on." "Trinity's gone. Cypher took her." Silence then. "I'll call you back in 10. 8 minutes later, my phone buzzed. "Cypher's got a place in Folsom. Old ranch property, isolated. Uses it for special projects. If he's got her, that's where." "Address?" He gave it to me. "Neo, you can't go alone. Watch me." "Brother." I hung up, then called Jake. Gave him the address, the situation, Cypher's demands. "We can have SWAT there in 30 minutes, Jake said. He'll kill her the second he sees cops. You know that. So what's your plan? I go in alone. Give him what he wants. You track my phone, wait for my signal. That's suicide. That's marriage. I was already running back to my truck. 30 minutes, Jake. Give me 30 minutes before you move. Neo. My wife, my call. I hung up, drove home fast. The house felt different, violated. I grabbed my go bag from the closet knife, zip ties, first aid kit, burner phone. Then I went to the garage, to the toolbox that held things I'd brought back from Afghanistan. Things I'd never reported, never should have kept. Flashbang grenades. 2 of them, stolen from a supply depot in Kandahar, enough to disorient, maybe by crucial seconds. I loaded everything, then grabbed the files Washington had left. Made quick copies on my phone just in case. If this went bad, at least the evidence would survive. The drive to Folsom took 40 minutes. The ranch was exactly what Tank had described: isolated, rundown, perfect for someone who needed privacy. One access road, no visible neighbors. Smart if you were holding someone against their will. I parked a quarter-mile away, approached on foot through dry brush and dead grass. The property had 3 buildings: main house, barn, what looked like a converted garage. 2 cars out front, including the black sedan from last night. My phone vibrated. Text from Jake, team standing by. Your call. I sent back, wait for signal. Through binoculars I'd kept in my truck, I watched the buildings. Movement in the barn, someone pacing past a window. 2 men by the cars, smoking, relaxed. They thought they were safe. I circled wide, came at the barn from behind. Old wood, gaps between boards. Through one I could see inside. Trinity was tied to a chair in the center of the space, duct tape over her mouth. Alive, conscious, scared. Cypher stood in front of her, talking on his phone. Snake Hernandez was there too, cleaning a pistol at a workbench. One other man I didn't recognize, younger, nervous-looking. 3 on 1. Not great odds, but I'd faced worse. I texted Jake the layout, positions, Trinity's location. Then I pulled out one of the flashbangs, took a breath, and kicked in the side door. Delivery for Mr. Cypher. The grenade hit the ground and I dove back outside. The explosion shook the building, bright light flooding through every crack. Screams, confusion, exactly what I needed. I came through the door low and fast. The nervous kid was closest, stumbling blind. I put him down with an elbow to the temple, zip-tied his hands while he was still dazed. Snake was reaching for his gun, blinking frantically. I kicked it away, followed with a knee to his solar plexus that dropped him gasping. Cypher had his gun out, waving it wildly, firing blind. A bullet splintered wood inches from my head. I rolled behind a hay bale, came up on his weak side. 2 quick strikes wrist to make him drop the gun, throat to drop him to his knees. You should have left my family alone, I said, then put him out with a chokehold. Trinity was crying through the tape, eyes wide. I cut her free, pulled the tape off as gently as I could. Neo, oh God, Neo. It's okay, you're safe. We're getting out of here. But as I helped her stand, Snake stirred, still gasping, but his hand found a knife on the workbench. He lunged, blade flashing. I pushed Trinity aside, caught his wrist. We struggled, the knife between us, his face purple with effort and lack of oxygen. The blade turned, slowly, until it was pointing at him. One hard shove and it went in, sliding between ribs. Snake's eyes went wide. He looked down at the knife in his chest, then at me, confused. Then he fell. Is he? Trinity couldn't finish the question. I checked his pulse. Weak, but there. He'll live if the paramedics get here soon. Sirens in the distance, getting closer. I zip-tied Cypher and the kid, then held Trinity as she shook. You came for me, she whispered. Always. Forever and always. SWAT burst in like an action movie, all tactical gear and shouting. Jake was with them, took in the scene with professional calm. 3 suspects secured, 1 wounded. We need medical now. As paramedics worked on Snake, Washington arrived. She looked at Cypher, unconscious and zip-tied, then at me. You want to explain this? Citizen's arrest. They kidnapped my wife. With military-grade flashbangs? I have no idea what you're talking about. She stared at me for a long moment, then shrugged. Must have been Cypher's. We'll log them as evidence. Trinity gave her statement while paramedics checked her for injuries. Bruises, dehydration, shock, but nothing permanent. At least not physically. Cypher came to as they were loading him into a patrol car. His eyes found mine, full of hate. "This isn't over," he mouthed. "Yeah," I said, "it is." But even as they drove him away, even as Trinity clung to me and the ranch swarmed with law enforcement, I knew he was right. Men like Cypher didn't give up. They just got smarter, more careful. This was a victory, but the war wasn't over. "We need to get Zara," Trinity said. "I need to see her." "Trinity, CPS." "I don't care about CPS. I almost died today. I need to hold my daughter." I called my mother, confirmed everything was fine. Then we drove to her house, Trinity silent beside me, staring at her wrists where the zip ties had left marks. When Zara saw Trinity, she flew into her arms. "Mommy, Daddy found you." "Yeah, baby, Daddy found me." They held each other while my mother made tea and I stood watch at the window. Because despite everything, despite Cypher being in custody again, despite the evidence piling up, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just intermission. The real show was yet to come. Chapter 7. The courthouse in downtown Sacramento looked like a fortress, all concrete and glass, metal detectors and armed guards. 3 days after the ranch, and we were here for the emergency custody hearing. Trinity sat beside me in a borrowed suit, hands folded, trying to look like the mother she'd always been instead of the woman who'd brought danger into our home. Our lawyer, Patricia Daniels, was a small black woman with a voice that could fill a room. "Let me do the talking," she said. "Answer only what you're asked. Keep it brief. And whatever you do, don't lose your temper." Across the aisle, Cypher's lawyer sat alone. Marcus Henley, $1,000 suit and shark eyes. The fact that Cypher had a lawyer here at our custody hearing while he sat in county lockup said everything about his reach. Judge Catherine Wong entered and we rose. Mid-60s, Asian American with a reputation for putting children first and taking no bullshit from anyone. "This is an emergency hearing regarding the custody of Zara Morrison, age 6, she began, reading from her notes. "I've reviewed the CPS report, the police reports, and the motions from both parties." She looked up, eyes sharp. "Mr. Morrison, you're seeking sole custody with supervised visitation for the mother. Explain." Patricia stood. "Your Honor, my client's wife exposed their daughter to a dangerous criminal. She allowed a drug dealer into their home, accepted money from illegal enterprises, and failed to protect—" "I can read, counselor. I want to hear from your client." I stood, throat dry. "Your Honor, I love my wife, but right now she's not safe for our daughter. Until she gets help, until we know Cypher's associates won't target her to get to Trinity, I need to be able to protect Zara without interference." "Mrs. Morrison?" Trinity stood on shaking legs. "I made terrible mistakes, Your Honor. I was desperate, alone, trying to keep our family from losing everything while my husband was deployed. But I love my daughter more than life itself. I would never intentionally put her in danger." "Intentionally," Judge Wong repeated. "But you did put her in danger." "Yes." Trinity's voice broke. "Yes, I did." Henley stood. "Your Honor, if I may, my client, Mr. Brown, has been falsely accused by the Morrisons in an attempt to avoid legitimate debts. This entire situation is a result of their elaborate fraud, Mr. Henley." Judge Wong's voice could have frozen water. "Your client is currently in custody for kidnapping, assault, and human trafficking. Are you really going to stand in my courtroom and claim victimhood on his behalf? I'm simply pointing out that the Morrisons' credibility is not yours to question. You're not a party to this custody matter. Sit down." Henley sat, but his smirk said he'd accomplished what he'd come for, planting doubt. Judge Wong studied us for a long moment. "Mrs. Morrison, are you currently in treatment?" "I start outpatient counseling tomorrow, Your Honor, and I'm attending daily AA meetings even though I don't have a substance problem. I need the support." "Mr. Morrison, what are your intentions regarding your marriage?" The question I'd been dreading. "I don't know, Your Honor. I want to forgive her. I want to trust her again. But right now, I just need to know my daughter is safe." "Zara is currently staying with you?" "Yes, Your Honor." "And Mrs. Morrison is staying?" "With friends," Trinity said quietly. I'm not welcome at my sister's anymore." Rebecca had made that clear after the kidnapping. Said Trinity brought too much drama, too much danger. Family, but only to a point. Judge Wong wrote something, then looked up. I'm granting temporary sole custody to Mr. Morrison. Mrs. Morrison will have supervised visitation 3 times a week, 2 hours per visit, at the court-appointed facility. This order is in effect for 90 days, at which point we'll review based on the progress of criminal proceedings and Mrs. Morrison's treatment. Trinity made a sound like she'd been punched. I reached for her hand under the table, squeezed it. Additionally, Judge Wong continued, I'm issuing a restraining order against Carl Brown, a.k.a. Cypher, and any known associates. They are not to come within 500 feet of any member of the Morrison family. She looked at Henley. That includes your client, counselor. Make sure he understands that bail or no bail, he violates this order. He goes away for a very long time. Understood, Your Honor. Good. We're adjourned. Outside the courthouse, Trinity broke down. I held her while she sobbed, not caring who saw. 3 times a week, she kept saying. 2 hours. That's all I get with my baby. It's temporary. We'll get through this. Will we? She pulled back, looked at me with red eyes. Will we really, Neo? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like I've lost everything. You haven't lost me, I said, surprising myself by meaning it. And you haven't lost Zara. This is just a detour. Patricia approached. That went better than expected. Henley showing up actually helped us made the judge angry. But Neo, you need to know, Cypher's bail hearing is tomorrow, if he gets out again. He won't, I said with more confidence than I felt. But he did. Different judge, different outcome. Henley argued that the kidnapping was actually a voluntary meeting that Trinity had agreed to, that she'd gone willingly to discuss the debt. Without Trinity's testimony, she was too traumatized to face him, and with Snake still in critical condition, it was he said, she said. Bail was set at $5 million, posted within an hour. I was at the grocery store with Zara when I got the news. Washington called, voice tight with frustration. He's out. We've got surveillance on him, but surveillance didn't stop him from taking Trinity. We'll do better. I promise. Empty words. We both knew it. That night, I sat in Zara's room watching her sleep. Every creak of the house made me tense. Every car passing made me check the window. This wasn't living, it was existing in a state of constant fear. My phone buzzed. Tank. Got something you need to see. Can you meet? When? Now. It's important. I called my mother, asked her to come over. Told her I had to run an errand. Didn't tell her what. She arrived in 20 minutes. Dad's .38 in her purse. Tank was waiting at his gym, lights off except for his office. He had a laptop open, security footage playing. This is from a contact at the port, 2 nights ago. The grainy footage showed containers being unloaded. Nothing unusual until Tank pointed to a figure directing the operation. Cypher. So he's still working. So what? Look closer. Tank zoomed in. The containers had shipping manifests taped to them. The company name was visible. New Horizons Import-Export. Never heard of it. Because it doesn't exist. It's a shell company, registered in Delaware 3 days ago. Guess who the registered agent is? He pulled up corporate documents. The name made my blood run cold. Rebecca Palmer, Trinity's sister. That's not possible. Gets better. Rebecca's been making deposits, regular ones for 6 months, always just under $10,000, avoiding federal reporting requirements. Either she's in business with Cypher or he's using her to launder money. I thought about Rebecca's reaction at the house, her anger at Trinity. She knew. The whole time she knew what Cypher was. That's not all. Tank pulled up more footage. This was taken an hour ago. Security camera from a motel in Roseville. Rebecca getting out of a car, going into a room. 30 seconds later, Cypher following. I think your sister-in-law sold out your wife. Question is, what are you going to do about it? What I wanted to do would land me in prison. What I needed to do was be smart. Can you keep eyes on them? Already got someone there. Good. I need everything: photos, financial records, anything that ties Rebecca to Cypher's operation. And then? Then we give Washington a case that no judge can ignore. But even as I said it, I knew it might not be enough. The system had failed us too many times already. At some point, I might have to step outside it entirely. Tank saw it in my eyes. Whatever you're thinking, don't. Your daughter needs you. My daughter needs to be safe. If the system can't guarantee that, then what? You become a vigilante? Take justice into your own hands? I become a father protecting his child, whatever that requires. I left the gym with the files Tank had compiled, my mind racing. Rebecca's betrayal explained so much, how Cypher always seemed one step ahead, how he knew exactly when Trinity was alone, how he'd gotten to her so easily at Rebecca's house. At home, Mom was reading in the living room, the pistol on the coffee table beside her. "Everything okay?" she asked. "Getting there." But as I locked up for the night, checked on Zara one more time, I knew we were far from okay. We were trapped in a nightmare that kept getting worse, with enemies multiplying and allies revealing themselves as traitors. Tomorrow, Trinity would see Zara for the first time under supervision, in a sterile room with a social worker watching. Tomorrow, Cypher would wake up free, planning his next move. Tomorrow, Rebecca would continue pretending to be the concerned sister while feeding information to our enemy. But tonight, I sat in my kitchen, planning, making lists, preparing for a war I'd never wanted but couldn't avoid. Because sometimes, the only way to protect what you love is to become the monster your enemies fear. Chapter 8. Dawn broke gray and cold, unusual for Sacramento in late spring. I'd been up since 4 a.m., running scenarios, making preparations. Today was the supervised visit, Trinity's first chance to see Zara since the hearing. The Family Services building sat downtown, all beige walls and fluorescent lights that made everyone look sick. Zara held my hand tight as we walked in, confused by the formality of seeing her mother. "Why can't Mommy come home?" she asked for the 100th time. "She will, baby. This is just temporary." "What's temporary mean?" "It means not forever." The visitation room had toys that looked like they'd been there since the 90s, a couch that had seen better days, and a mirror that was obviously one-way glass. Mrs. Patterson, not Jennifer from the PTA, thank God, was our supervisor, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a folder thick with notes. When Trinity walked in, Zara flew to her. They collided in a hug that made my chest tight. Trinity was crying before she even said hello. "My baby, my sweet baby girl. Mommy, why are you crying?" "Happy tears, sweetheart, just happy tears." They sat on the floor, Zara showing Trinity her drawings from school while Mrs. Patterson took notes, and I stood by the window watching the parking lot. Paranoid, maybe, but Cypher had been out for 36 hours. That was 36 hours too long. "This is you," Zara was saying, pointing at her drawing. "And this is Daddy, and this is me, and we're all together in our house." Trinity's voice cracked. "It's beautiful, baby. When are you coming home?" Trinity looked at me, then at Mrs. Patterson, then back to Zara. "Soon, I hope. Daddy and I just need to work some things out. Like when you and Daddy argued about the dishes, and you slept on the couch? Kind of like that, yeah." The 2 hours flew by and dragged simultaneously. When Mrs. Patterson said time was up, Zara clung to Trinity. "I don't want to go. I want to stay with Mommy." "I know, baby, but no!" Zara was in full meltdown mode now, something I hadn't seen in years. "You're being mean! Both of you!" It took 10 minutes to calm her down, to pry her away from Trinity. As I carried her out, she was still crying, and Trinity was pressed against the window, hand on the glass, sobbing. In the car, Zara wouldn't look at me. "I hate you," she said quietly. The words were a knife between my ribs. "You don't mean that." "Yes, I do. You won't let Mommy come home." "Sweetheart, it's complicated." "I don't care. I want my Mommy." She cried herself to sleep on the drive home. I carried her inside, put her in bed, then sat on my porch with a beer I didn't drink, wondering if protecting her was worth breaking her heart. My phone rang. Jake Martinez. "We've got a problem. Cypher's lawyer filed an injunction. Says our investigation is harassment, that we're violating his civil rights." "You're kidding." "I wish. Judge Thompson agreed to hear it tomorrow. If he sides with Cypher, we have to back off surveillance, stop building the case." "Thompson, isn't he the judge who—" "Yeah, the one who let Cypher out on bail twice. Neo, I think Cypher owns him." "Can you prove it?" Not without more time, which we won't have if this injunction goes through. I hung up, called Tank. I need everything you've got on Judge Harold Thompson, financial records, personal history, any connection to Cypher. That's a federal judge you're investigating. That's a corrupt judge who's helping a child trafficker walk free. Give me 12 hours. 6 hours later, Zara was at the park with my mother while I met with Washington at a coffee shop downtown. She looked exhausted, frustrated. The case is falling apart, she admitted. Snake died this morning. Complications from the stabbing. My blood went cold. That was self-defense. I know, everyone knows. But now Cypher's lawyer is spinning it as you being violent, unstable. Says you came to that ranch looking for blood. I came looking for my wife, and left with a body count. One body, one piece of garbage who was helping kidnap and sell children. I agree, but a jury might see it differently. She pulled out a folder, slid it across. Rebecca Palmer. We've been looking into her since you sent Tank's information. She's in deep. The folder contained bank records, phone logs, surveillance photos. Rebecca hadn't just betrayed Trinity, she'd been actively working with Cypher for months. She was recruiting, Washington said, using her position at the community center to identify vulnerable women, especially military spouses whose husbands were deployed. Jesus. She'd befriend them, learn their problems, then introduce them to Cypher as someone who could help. He'd loan them money, get them dependent, then... She shrugged. You know the rest. How many? At least a dozen that we can confirm. 3 are missing. My hands clenched. Where is she now? Wind. After you spotted her with Cypher, she cleared out. Took everything, left her kids with their father, disappeared. She has kids? 2. Teenagers. They had no idea what their mother was doing. Another family destroyed by Cypher's poison. My phone buzzed. Tank. You need to see this. Now. Back at the gym, Tank had his laptop set up with multiple windows open, bank records, court documents, emails. Judge Harold Thompson, he said, divorced 3 years ago. Messy, expensive. Took him to the cleaners. He was broke, about to lose his house. Then suddenly his finances improved. Regular deposits, always from different accounts, but they trace back to the same source. Cypher. Bingo. But here's the smoking gun. He pulled up an email. Thompson's personal account sent 2 weeks ago to an address that belongs to Cypher's lawyer. I read it. Short damning. Package delivered. Next shipment expected Thursday. Package could mean anything, I said, though we both knew better. Could. Or it could mean Thompson was letting Cypher know when vulnerable kids would be in his courtroom. Foster care hearings, custody disputes, shopping list for a predator. Can we prove it? Not in court, but we can make sure the right people see it. Do it. As Tank worked, I thought about the system we were supposed to trust. Corrupt judges, missing witnesses, lawyers who twisted truth into lies. The game was rigged, and playing by the rules meant losing. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, Neo. Cypher. I heard you've been busy. Investigating judges? That's dangerous territory. How did... I have friends everywhere, even in gyms owned by washed-up Marines. I looked at Tank, who was checking his security cameras. He shook his head, no one here but us. Here's what's going to happen, Cypher continued. You're going to stop. Stop investigating, stop talking to cops, stop everything. Take your daughter and leave Sacramento. Start over somewhere else. Or things get messy. Your mother lives alone, doesn't she? Hate for her to have an accident. And Trinity, staying with friends, moving around, but not that hard to find. Especially when she has to leave for those supervised visits. Lot can happen in a parking lot. You threatening my family again? I'm offering you a way out. Take it or don't. But decide quickly. My patience is wearing thin. He hung up. Tank was already on his phone calling his security guys to check on my mother. I called her myself. She was fine, still at the park with Zara. He's escalating, Tank said. Getting desperate. Or confident. He knows something we don't. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. A photo. Trinity, walking out of the family services building. A red laser dot on her forehead. Another text. Next time it won't be a warning. I was already running for my truck. Called Trinity, no answer. Called again. Finally, on the fifth ring, she picked up. Neo, where are you? Walking to my car. Why, get inside it, lock the doors, drive to the police station. Now. What's happening? Just do it. I heard her car door slam, engine start. Okay, I'm driving. Neo, you're scaring me. Someone had a rifle trained on you outside Family Services. Red dot and everything. Oh, God. Oh, God, was it? Yeah. He's making his move. I stayed on with her until she reached the police station, then called Washington. Within an hour, Trinity was in protective custody, and there was a patrol car outside my mother's house. But we all knew it was just temporary. Cypher had resources, connections, and nothing left to lose. The investigation was closing in, his operation was exposed, and cornered animals were the most dangerous. That night, after Zara was asleep, I sat in my dark living room, the Glock on the coffee table. Every sound made me reach for it. Every shadow could be a threat. Tank called around midnight. Judge Thompson just had a heart attack. Died on the way to the hospital. Natural causes? That's what they're saying, but the timing. Cypher's cleaning house, getting rid of liabilities, or sending a message, play ball or end up like Thompson. After Tank hung up, I sat in the darkness, planning. The system had failed. The law couldn't protect us, which left only one option. I picked up a different phone, one I'd bought with cash that afternoon, dialed a number I'd memorized in Afghanistan, one belonging to a man who solved problems that couldn't be solved legally. Morrison, the voice said. Been a while. I need a favor, Ghost. What kind of favor? The kind you specialize in, making problems disappear. Silence on the line, then. That's not cheap. I'll pay, and it's permanent. No takebacks. I understand. Text me the details. I'll be in touch. I hung up, deleted the call history, destroyed the SIM card. Maybe Tank was right. Maybe I was crossing a line I couldn't come back from. But looking at Zara's room, thinking about Trinity with a sniper's dot on her head, I knew I'd already crossed it. The moment Cypher threatened my family, he'd signed his own death warrant. The only question now was whether the system would execute it, or if I'd have to do it myself. Chapter 9. The parking garage on J Street had 3 levels and terrible lighting perfect for what I had planned. It was the kind of place where security cameras mysteriously stopped working and witnesses suddenly developed amnesia. Ghost's text had come through an hour ago, package secured, awaiting delivery instructions. I told him to stand down, for now, because I'd realized something in the dark hours before dawn. Killing Cypher would make me just like him, another predator operating outside the law. And Zara deserved better than a father in prison for murder, no matter how justified. So I'd called Washington instead. I want to end this, my way. Neo, we've been through this. Not kill him. Trap him. Get him on tape admitting everything. There'd been silence on the line then. What do you need? Now I stood in that garage, wired for sound and video, knowing Cypher would come. He had to. His empire was crumbling, his connections severed. Judge Thompson's convenient heart attack had spooked his other allies. Rebecca had vanished with whatever cash she could grab. The walls were closing in, and desperate men always made mistakes. My phone buzzed. Text from Cypher, level 2. Come alone or she dies. She. My blood went cold. I took the stairs 2 at a time, my footsteps echoing in the concrete stairwell. Level 2 was even darker, half the lights blown out or removed. A van sat in the far corner, engine running. Cypher stepped out from behind a pillar, gun in hand. You're predictable, soldier boy. Where is she? Safe, for now. He gestured with the gun. You wearing a wire? No. Bullshit, strip. I pulled off my jacket, shirt, showed him I was clean. The wire was in my belt buckle, the camera in my watch gifts from Jake's technical team. Technology had come a long way since Afghanistan. Satisfied? I asked, putting my shirt back on. Getting there. You bring the money? What money? You know I don't have 25 grand. No, but you have something else. Information about my operation, my contacts, everything your Fed friends have gathered. He stepped closer, gun steady. I need to know what they know, before I disappear. You're running? Relocating, somewhere without extradition treaties. He smiled. that cold shark smile I'd grown to hate. But first, loose ends. The van's back door opened. Trinity stumbled out, hands zip-tied, mouth taped. But something was wrong. The hair was the right color, but the build was off, the way she moved. Not Trinity, Rebecca. Surprised? Cypher laughed at my expression. Your sister-in-law here thought she could steal from me, thought she could take my money and run, but I've got eyes everywhere. Rebecca's eyes were wild with fear above the tape. The woman who'd sold out her own sister, who'd recruited vulnerable women for Cypher's operation, finally facing consequences. Let her go, I said. She's not part of this. Isn't she? She brought Trinity to me, set up the whole thing. Hell, she's the one who suggested targeting military wives, said they were desperate, alone, easy marks. I looked at Rebecca, saw the truth in her eyes, all that anger at Trinity, the blame projection. She'd orchestrated her sister's downfall. But here's the thing, Cypher continued. I don't need her anymore, or Trinity, or even you, really. I just need to know what the feds have so I can prepare my defense, or my escape. I'll tell you everything. Just let her go. Everything? Everything. He considered this, then nodded. Start talking. I began listing what I knew: the warehouse, the trafficking, the money laundering. Fed him enough truth to keep him interested, enough lies to keep him guessing. All the while, the belt buckle recorded every word. The girls, I said. How many were there? Why do you care? I need to know what I'm walking away from. He shrugged. Dozen, maybe more. Supply and demand, you understand. Men pay good money for young, desperate girls. And your sister-in-law here, she had a gift for finding them. Rebecca made a muffled sound through the tape. The funny thing is, Cypher continued, she thought she was smart, skimming money, keeping her own records, planning to blackmail me eventually. He pressed the gun to Rebecca's temple. Nobody blackmails me. Wait! The gunshot was impossibly loud in the enclosed space, but it wasn't Cypher's gun. He staggered, looking down at the spreading red stain on his chest. Behind him, Detective Washington lowered her service weapon. Drop the weapon now! Cypher's gun clattered to the concrete. He fell to his knees, then forward. I rushed to Rebecca, cutting her ties with my pocket knife. You're okay, I said. You're safe. She ripped the tape from her mouth. He was going to kill me. Oh God, he was going to kill me. Yeah, he was. SWAT poured in from stairwells and elevators. Jake was with them, already coordinating the scene. Washington walked over, holstered her weapon. You get it all? She asked. I tapped my belt buckle. Every word. Good. Because I'm going to need it to justify the shooting. Cypher was still breathing, barely. Paramedics worked on him while Rebecca gave her statement to other officers. She'd been grabbed that morning, forced to participate in Cypher's plan to trap me. He knew you'd come, she said. Said you were too much of a hero to let anyone die, even me. He was right. She looked at me, tears streaming. I'm sorry. About Trinity, about everything. I needed money, and he offered so much, and I thought I could control it. You thought wrong. I know, God, I know. She grabbed my arm. Is Trinity okay? Is she safe? No thanks to you. The words hit harder than any slap. She crumpled, sobbing. Part of me felt bad for her. The rest remembered that she'd sold her own sister to a monster. Jake approached. Cypher's stable. He'll live to stand trial. Good. The recording's solid. Between that and Rebecca's testimony, he's done. Life without parole, minimum. And the trafficking victims? We've got leads on all of them. Should have them home within days. I nodded, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving me shaky and hollow. I need to get home. Neo. Washington stopped me. What you did today setting this up, trusting us, that took guts. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. You chose the right way. But as I drove home, I wondered if there was such a thing as a right way. Cypher would live, stand trial, probably spend decades in prison. Justice by the book. Yet Snake was still dead. Rebecca's life was destroyed, and Trinity was still in supervised housing, paying for crimes that weren't entirely hers. My phone rang. Trinity. I heard, she said. It's on the news. They got him. Yeah. Are you okay? I don't know. Maybe. Neo, thank you for everything, for not giving up on us. I almost did, I admitted. I had someone lined up to make him disappear. Silence then. But you didn't. No, because Zara needs a father, not a killer. She needs both her parents, Trinity said softly. When this is over, when I've done what I need to do, can we? Can we try again? I thought about it, about trust and betrayal, about love and fear, about the way Zara lit up when she saw her mother, and the way Trinity had looked with a sniper's dot on her head. Yeah, I said, we can try. Chapter 10. 3 months later, I sat in Patricia Daniels' office, watching her review the custody modification paperwork. Outside, Sacramento was having one of those perfect fall days, clear blue sky, leaves just starting to turn. Trinity sat beside me, 3 months sober, 3 months in therapy, 3 months of supervised visits that had slowly rebuilt her relationship with Zara. The court is impressed with your progress, Mrs. Morrison, Patricia said. Completed rehab, steady employment, consistent therapy, and Mr. Morrison's support letter carries significant weight. I'd written that letter 12 times before getting it right. How do you explain that forgiveness isn't forgetting, that trust isn't automatic, but that love, real love, means fighting through the hard stuff? What about Cypher? Trinity asked. 25 to life, no possibility of parole. The trafficking charges alone guaranteed that. And with Rebecca's cooperation. Rebecca had pled guilty, got 5 years with possibility of parole in 2. She'd given the FBI everything: names, dates, account numbers. Cypher's entire network had collapsed like dominoes. So it's really over? Trinity's voice was small, hopeful. The legal parts, yes. Patricia looked at both of us. The rest is up to you. That evening, we had dinner as a family for the first time in months. Not at home that still felt too loaded with memories, but at a little Italian place Zara loved. She chattered about school, about her new friend Lily, about the Halloween costume she wanted. Normal kid stuff that felt like a miracle. Mommy, are you coming home now? Zara asked over her spaghetti. Trinity looked at me. We'd agreed to be honest with her. Age appropriate, but honest. Not yet, sweetheart, Trinity said. Mommy's still working on some things, but I'll be around more. We can do fun stuff together. Like a real family? We are a real family, I said, just one that's figuring things out. After dinner, while Zara played on the restaurant's small playground, Trinity and I sat watching her. I started writing, Trinity said. My therapist suggested it, writing down everything that happened, how I felt, why I made the choices I did. How's that going? Painful, but good painful, like cleaning out a wound. She turned to me. I wrote about you too, about how I knew you'd come for me, even when I didn't deserve it. You're the mother of my child. You'll always deserve my help, but not your trust. I was quiet for a moment, watching Zara climb the monkey bars. Trust it's like those monkey bars. You build it one rung at a time, and right now, we're maybe on rung 3 of 20. But we're climbing? We're climbing. She reached for my hand, hesitated. I took it, squeezed once, then let go. Baby steps. Over the next weeks, we developed a new rhythm. Trinity picked Zara up from school twice a week, bringing her home to do homework and have dinner. I was always there, but I tried to give them space, time to rebuild their bond. I watched Trinity help with math problems, braid Zara's hair, sing the silly songs they'd made up years ago. Slowly, the scared woman who'd brought danger into our home was replaced by the mother I'd fallen in love with. Or maybe she'd been there all along, just buried under desperation and bad choices. One evening, while Trinity was reading to Zara, my phone rang. Unknown number. Neo Morrison? Yeah. This is Sarah from the warehouse. My blood chilled. Sarah, the 14-year-old we'd rescued from Cypher. Sarah, are you okay? Are you safe? Yeah, I'm in a group home. It's okay. Her voice was young, scared. I wanted to thank you for saving us. You don't need to thank me. Yes, I do. You gave me a chance, a second chance at life. She paused. Is it true what they said? That your wife was involved with him? It's complicated. But you forgave her. I looked at Trinity, curled up with Zara, both of them laughing at the book's illustrations. I'm trying to... That's brave, Sarah said. Braver than fighting him. Anyone can fight. Not everyone can forgive. After she hung up, I stood in the doorway watching my girls. Sarah was right. Fighting Cypher had been easy compared to this, the daily choice to rebuild, to trust, to let Trinity back in inch by inch. Daddy, come read with us, Zara called. I joined them on the couch, Zara between us, her head on Trinity's shoulder, her feet in my lap. For a moment, we were just a normal family, reading a story about dragons and princesses, and happily ever after. I love you both, Zara said sleepily. Even when you're being weird. Trinity and I looked at each other over her head, both fighting tears. We love you too, baby girl, Trinity said. Even when we're weird. That night after Trinity left for her apartment, I found a note she'd left on the kitchen counter. Neo, thank you for rung 3. I'm ready for rung 4 whenever you are. Forever and always, T. I stood there holding that note, remembering the woman who'd spilled coffee on my uniform all those years ago. We weren't those people anymore. War had changed me, desperation had changed her, and Cypher had nearly destroyed us both. But maybe that was okay. Maybe the people we were becoming, scarred but stronger, wiser but still capable of hope, maybe those people could build something even better. I texted her, rung 4 starts tomorrow. Pick Zara up from school, stay for dinner. We'll watch a movie. Her response was immediate. Really? Really. But I picked the movie. No romantic comedies, deal, and Neo? I love you. I stared at those 3 words for a long time. Then finally, I know. We'll get there. And for the first time since coming home from Afghanistan, I actually believed it. Chapter 11. Winter came early to Sacramento that year. By November, frost covered the lawn each morning, and Zara needed her puffy jacket for school. Life had developed a rhythm, not the old rhythm from before deployment, but something new. Something we were building together. Trinity had been sober 6 months. She'd moved to a better apartment, closer to us, and taken a job at a non-profit helping military families navigate financial crisis. Ironic, maybe, but she was good at it. She knew exactly what desperation looked like, exactly what bad choices could cost. I had a woman come in today, she told me over coffee while Zara was at Saturday gymnastics. We'd started these coffee dates, neutral ground to talk without Zara listening. Husband deployed, 3 kids, about to lose her house. I saw myself 2 years ago. What did you tell her? The truth, that there's always another option even when you can't see it. That taking help from the wrong people costs more than money. She wrapped her hands around her mug. I gave her resources, connected her with emergency funds. She cried, Neo, said I saved her life. You did. Trinity looked at me, surprised. It was the first time I'd acknowledged the good she was doing, the person she was becoming. We have therapy Thursday, she said, changing the subject. Dr. Kim wants to start talking about moving forward. We'd been in couples therapy for 2 months. Dr. Kim, a veteran herself, didn't pull punches. She'd made us confront everything, the betrayal, the violence, the trauma we'd both endured and inflicted. It was brutal, necessary work. I know. I'll be there. She wants to talk about me moving back home. The words hung between us like a challenge. Home. Such a simple word for such a complicated question. What do you think? I asked. I think I want to come home. But I also think wanting isn't enough. I need to earn it. We need to be ready. And are we? She was quiet for a moment. I dream about him sometimes. Cypher. He's in the house or taking Zara or... She shuddered. Dr. Kim says it's PTSD, that we both have it, just different flavors. She was right. I still checked locks obsessively, still startled at unexpected sounds. Afghanistan had given me one kind of hypervigilance. Cypher had given me another. But when I wake up scared, Trinity continued, I think about you fighting for us, coming for me. Choosing the legal path even when you could have, when you had other options. And I feel safe again. Ghost, I said, the name of the problem solver I'd almost hired. You told me about him, in therapy. I came so close, Trin, so close to crossing that line. But you didn't. That's what matters. That evening, we took Zara to the Veterans Support Group family night. It was potluck style, kids running around while adults shared stories and struggles. I'd been going for months. This was Trinity's first time. Neo! James, a Marine who'd lost his leg in Helmand, waved us over. This the famous Trinity? Infamous, maybe, Trinity said, but she was smiling. Nah, famous. Neo talks about you all the time. How strong you are, how hard you're working. I saw Trinity's surprise. She didn't know I bragged about her at group, about her recovery, her dedication to making amends. The evening was good. Normal. Zara played with other kids while Trinity and I mingled. Just another military family working through their stuff. Nobody judged. Everyone there had their own struggles, their own demons. This is nice, Trinity said as we watched Zara in a fierce game of tag, being around people who get it. The broken recognizing the broken. The healing recognizing the healing, she corrected. Later, as we drove home, Trinity following in her car, still maintaining that boundary, Zara fell asleep in the back seat. I carried her inside, Trinity holding doors, working together with practiced ease. After Zara was in bed, we stood in the hallway, neither wanting the evening to end. Stay, I said, surprising myself. Just to talk. Watch TV. Be normal. Are you sure? No, but I want to try. We sat on opposite ends of the couch, watching some mindless action movie. Slowly, carefully, the space between us shrank. By the movie's end, we were sitting close enough to touch, though we didn't. I should go, Trinity said when the credits rolled. Yeah, but she didn't move. Neither did I. I love you, she said. I've loved you since that coffee shop, through deployment, through all of this mess. And I'll love you whether we make it or not. I know. Do you love me? The question I'd been avoiding for months. Love was easy when it was simple. But love after betrayal, after violence, after trust shattered, that was something else. I love who you're becoming, I said carefully. I love the mother you are to Zara. I love your strength, your recovery, your determination, the rest. I'm working on it. She nodded, tears in her eyes but smiling. That's enough. That's more than enough. As she gathered her things to leave, she paused at the door. Rebecca wrote me. From prison? Yeah, apologizing, asking for forgiveness. Trinity's jaw tightened. I'm not ready for that. May never be. You don't owe her anything. I know, but Dr. Kim says forgiveness is for us, not them. That holding on to anger is like drinking poison. Smart woman. Yeah. Trinity looked at me. Neo, thank you for not giving up. For fighting for us even when I'd given up on myself. Zara deserves her family whole. It's not just for Zara anymore, is it? I thought about it, about the coffee dates and therapy sessions, about watching her rebuild herself piece by piece. No, I admitted. It's not just for Zara. She smiled, the first real, full smile I'd seen in almost a year. Good night, Neo. Night, Trin. After she left, I stood in my kitchen looking at the calendar. 6 months since Cypher's arrest. 6 months of rebuilding. Dr. Kim had said recovery wasn't linear, that we'd have setbacks and breakthroughs in equal measure. But standing there, in my quiet house with my daughter safe upstairs and my wife, because that's what she still was, papers be damned driving home to her apartment, I felt something I hadn't felt since before deployment. Hope. Real, honest hope that we could build something from these ashes. Not the same thing that was gone forever, but maybe something stronger, forged in fire and tempered by truth. My phone buzzed. Trinity, made it home safe. Thank you for tonight. For rung 10. I smiled, texted back. Only 10 more to go. We'll get there. Yeah, we will. Chapter 12. The sunrise painted Sacramento in shades of gold and pink, the kind of morning that made you forget the city's rough edges. I sat on my porch, coffee steaming in the cool air, watching the neighborhood wake up. Mrs. Rodriguez was already tending her roses. The Johnson kids were loading into their minivan for early soccer practice, and somewhere a dog barked at nothing in particular. Normal, beautifully, boringly normal. A year had passed since that morning. A year since Cypher's final arrest, since the parking garage, since I'd almost crossed a line I couldn't come back from. The coffee had gone cold, but I didn't care. This was my Sunday ritual now, sitting here, processing, planning. "You're up early." Trinity stood in the doorway, wearing my old army shirt and pajama pants, hair messy from sleep. She'd moved back home 2 months ago. Not rushed, not forced, but when it felt right. When Zara had asked, "Why does Mommy have to leave every night?" And neither of us had a good answer anymore. "Couldn't sleep," I said, thinking. Good thoughts or bad thoughts? Just thoughts. She sat beside me, close enough that our knees touched. Physical contact was easier now, natural again, though we were still careful with each other, still learning who we were after everything. "Zara's still out cold," she said. "Wore herself out at Lisa's birthday party yesterday." "She's happy." Yeah, she is." We sat in comfortable silence, watching the street come alive. This was us now, not the young couple who'd met in a coffee shop, not the broken people Cypher had nearly destroyed, but something new, something tested. "I went to see Rebecca yesterday," Trinity said suddenly. I turned, surprised. "At the prison?" "Yeah, she's up for parole next month. Early release for cooperation." "How was it?" Trinity pulled her knees to her chest, making herself small. "Hard, really hard. She cried, apologized maybe 50 times, said she's getting therapy, going to NA meetings, found God." "Do you believe her?" "I don't know, maybe. Does it matter?" She looked at me. "I didn't go for her. I went for me, to let go of the anger." "And did you?" "Some of it. Not all. But enough that I could tell her I don't hate her anymore. That's more than she deserves. Maybe. But holding on to hate was killing me slowly, and I've done enough slow dying." I took her hand, threaded our fingers together. Her wedding ring caught the morning light. She'd started wearing it again last month. Said it felt right. "I'm proud of you," I said. "Yeah? Yeah. You're the strongest person I know." She laughed, soft and sad. "I brought a drug dealer into our home. I nearly got us all killed. And you survived it. Got sober, rebuilt. That takes a different kind of strength than carrying a rifle in Afghanistan. Different but equal. Different but equal." Zara burst through the door, all bedhead and energy. "Pancakes! Daddy promised pancakes." "Did I?" I teased, catching her as she launched herself at me. "Yes, with chocolate chips and whipped cream and strawberries." "That's a lot of sugar for breakfast," Trinity said in her mom voice. "Please, Mommy? Pretty please?" Trinity and I exchanged looks. After everything we'd put her through, a sugar rush seemed like a small price for her joy. "Okay," Trinity said, "but you're helping make them." We moved to the kitchen, falling into our rhythm. I mixed batter while Trinity cut strawberries and Zara stood on her step stool, carefully placing chocolate chips in precise patterns on each pancake. Music played from Trinity's phone, Old Soul, the kind we'd danced to at our wedding. "Remember this song?" Trinity asked, swaying to Marvin Gaye. "Our first dance. You stepped on my dress. You stepped on my foot. We were terrible. We were perfect." She moved closer, and suddenly we were dancing in our kitchen, Zara giggling as she watched us. Trinity's head on my shoulder, my arms around her waist, everything else fading away. "Ew! Kissing!" Zara shrieked when I pressed my lips to Trinity's forehead. "So much kissing," I threatened, grabbing Zara and covering her face with kisses while she squealed and squirmed. This was what I'd fought for. Not just in Afghanistan, but here at home, in therapy sessions and supervised visits, in choosing justice over vengeance. This moment, with pancake batter on the counter and my girls laughing and sunlight streaming through the window. Later, while Zara played in the backyard, Trinity and I cleaned up. "Dr. Kim says we're graduating," she said, "from couples therapy, moving to monthly check-ins instead of weekly. How do you feel about that? Scared? Proud?" "Ready." She dried a plate, set it in the cabinet. "You?" "Same. We're not fixed, are we? Not completely." "No, but maybe that's okay. Maybe broken people can build good lives. Broken, but beautiful? Something like that." That afternoon, we took Zara to the park, the same one where I'd first learned she knew cipher. It didn't carry that weight anymore, just another place transformed by time and healing. While Zara played, Trinity and I sat on a bench, watching. "I got a call yesterday," I said. "From Jake. The DEA wants to commend me. Public ceremony, medal, the whole thing." "Neo, that's amazing." I turned it down. "Why?" "Because I don't need their validation. I know what I did, why I did it. That's enough." Trinity studied me. "You've changed." "We both have." "No, but you. You're quieter now, more settled, less angry." She was right. The rage that had driven me for so long had burned itself out, replaced by something steadier. Purpose, maybe, or peace. "I've been thinking about school," I said. "Using the GI Bill. Maybe counseling, working with vets. You'd be good at that. I want to help people find their way back. The way we did." "The way we are," she corrected. "Present tense. We're still finding our way." "Yeah, but we're finding it together." She leaned against me and we watched our daughter conquer the monkey bars, the same ones she'd been afraid of 6 months ago. Now she swung across them like they were nothing, whooping with joy. "That's us," Trinity said. "One rung at a time. We made it to the other side. Not yet, but we can see it from here." That evening, as we tucked Zara into bed, she grabbed both our hands. "I'm happy you're both here," she said simply. "Where else would we be, baby girl?" I asked. "Apart, like before, when everyone was sad." Trinity and I looked at each other over her head. "That's over now," Trinity said. "We're a family, forever and always." "Promise?" "Promise," we said together. After Zara fell asleep, Trinity and I stood in the hallway, not ready to separate yet. "Thank you," she whispered. "For what?" "For believing we could get here, even when I didn't, even when it seemed impossible." "It was impossible. We did it anyway." She kissed me then, soft and sure, and for the first time in over a year it felt completely right. Not desperate or sad or complicated. Just us. Later, lying in our bed, together, finally I thought about the journey. From that first moment of suspicion to Cypher's threats, from parking garages to courtrooms, from supervised visits to family pancakes. "Neo?" Trinity's voice in the darkness. "Yeah? We're going to make it, aren't we?" I pulled her closer, felt her heartbeat against my chest. Thought about Sarah's words, about forgiveness being braver than fighting, about Zara's laugh and Trinity's strength and my own journey from soldier to protector to something more complete. "Yeah," I said, "we're going to make it." And in the darkness of our bedroom, in the house we'd almost lost, with our daughter safe down the hall and our hearts finally mending, I knew it was true. The war was over, both of them. We'd survived. More than that, we'd found our way back to each other, different than before, scarred and careful, but real, tested by fire and proven true. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. Trinity would continue her recovery. I'd start school. Zara would grow and face her own struggles. But tonight, we were whole. Tonight, we were home. I closed my eyes, Trinity's breath warm against my neck, and let myself believe in happy endings. Not the fairy tale kind those were for people who hadn't seen what we'd seen, but the real kind, earned through pain and work and choosing love even when it was the hardest thing in the world. No matter what comes, I thought, echoing the promise I'd made to myself so long ago, I'll be here, guarding our new beginning. And for the first time since coming home from Afghanistan, I truly meant it. The soldiers' war was over. The fathers had been won. Now it was time for the husband, the man, to build something worth protecting from the ashes of what we'd lost. One rung at a time, one day at a time, together, forever and always. What struck me most about Neo's story wasn't the external threats he faced, but his internal battle between vengeance and justice, choosing to trust the system rather than becoming the very darkness he fought against. As someone who's watched relationships crumble under far less pressure, seeing Trinity and Neo rebuild their marriage rung by rung proved that forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the ultimate act of strength. Makes you wonder, would you have made the same choice when someone threatens everything you love?